Hello, everybody. You thought we are over with this podcast. No, we don't. It's just a smart timing, once in a half year. Every time we start a new podcast, there's a new timing. It used to be every week. Then it was like once a month. Now it's twice a year. We'll see where we're gonna end up, but it's better than nothing. You should agree and like and subscribe to this channel. At least we're back with another seventh podcast.
Is
another
the
seventh podcast. Oh. It's like way more than anyone
ever did.
Yes, okay. Ever did.
Do I look okay? Because I realized that I never.
You always look the best.
No, I mean like the makeup. Cause
the best.
Thank you. The reason why I'm asking because we planned to film a video from the very morning, and then I just drowned in my work, and I was rubbing my eyes a few times. I was sneezing,
such a busy lady.
Yeah, I like being busy.
busy business lady. Today we want to talk about adoption.
Our experience with adoption.
Our experience with adopting kids. Because if you didn't know about this about our family, we have 4 kids, 2 of which are adopted. Yeah. And it happened more than 6 years ago.
6.5 years ago.
Like every time Facebook reminds me of something that happened last year, the same date, I'm like, 6 years? And first of all, like I'm looking at those 2 kids. If you didn't know, we adopted them when the boy was 6.
There were 5 and almost 3.
5 and almost 3, boy and girl, brother and sister. And they are brothers and sisters between them. So I think we're going to start this podcast with our story, why? Because, if this whole thing about adoption, if you will ask me, what are the most frequently asked questions I get? I don't know about you, but
I don't get questions.
Yeah, a lot of online, whenever people realize that those kids are adopted, they are like, the most frequent question would be why? Why did you do that? Which is weirdest to me. I remember even the judge, if you don't know, we're going to explain that, but in Ukraine, you have to go through the court so the court essentially allows you to adopt kids. Yeah. So, and I remember as a clear day that the judge asked us, why do you want to do this? And I still struggle to answer this question because it sounds weird.
It's the same thing like when you ask people, why do you have kids, right?
Why did you marry?
Why did you marry? Because we love each other. But why do you have kids? I can't answer the question. Why did we have?
Why did you
our
eat? What did you have?
No,
why
because I was hungry.
There's
that makes sense. But when you have biological kids, well, it's obviously you have a reason. You love each other and you want a baby. You want to have a child. For me, why did you adopt a child? For the same reason I had my biological kids. Come on.
Yeah,
but this is the same for me personally. It was the same exact reason. It's just another route to have a kid. Instead of being pregnant, you adopt. But the reasoning behind it
is the same.
You just want a kid.
Multiplication and expansion. That's the reason. I'm gonna be answering that question like this. I just had an idea of multiplication and expansion.
No, many people say that when you have a biological, when you decide to have a biological kid, some people say oh, I wanted to have a self-fulfillment as a mother. I never had that wish in the first place, even when we had our first kid and the second. I never had a...
I just wanted to fulfill you and...
Ew.
I tried my best not to joke this joke, but then...
But overall, for me, why did you adopt is the same question as why did you have kids? Because I wanted kids.
No,
That's it.
I have slightly mostly the same answer, but slightly different because I saw, whenever we started to think about this idea of adopting kids, it was for probably 8 years probably,
No,
or
we
even
wanted
more.
to do it since we got
Yeah.
married and even when we dated. But then we had Vanya, and he, if you don't know, we have a special needs son, a very special needs. And it was like the question of having more kids was off the table for many years because we did. We had to spend a lot of time with him, like in the hospitals, and figuring out what's wrong with him and stuff. So
Yeah, but
this question kind of re-emerged when he grew up a bit older and his health issues stabilized, and we realized like this is manageable.
manageable, yeah.
It doesn't take as much time as it used to. Like it is still a special needs child, but it's like it became a routine.
But to get back to the answering your question, why for me is that whenever I realize that there are a lot of kids that live in those, like you have to understand that the whole system is so much different in Ukraine than it is here in North America overall, like Canada and US, where in Canada and US you don't necessarily have a facility where kids live. You don't have that.
There are facilities. As far as
Yeah,
I know,
but they're temporarily.
Yeah.
The facility is kind of like where Amazon warehouse where people bring products.
Well, that's a mean way to say it, but
to leave as soon as possible. How I understand the system here is that these like places, these places are very temporary. Everyone wants those kids to leave as soon as possible to plant them in foster families.
Yeah.
It's not the case in pretty much whole Eastern Europe, ex-Soviet bloc.
No, it started shifting towards this, but it's still not like...
I don't know about that.
No.
There is a foster family
There is a foster family system in Ukraine, and like institution of family that is a foster one for the kid, but it's not a popular system. It's not like... It's not where the majority of kids without parental care are.
And the majority
of those kids are in orphanages.
Yeah, orphanages. And it's horrible. Like those places, most of them are horrible. Not necessarily in terms of like conditions, but that too.
Yeah, there are better ones and worse ones in terms of like design and the furniture and stuff.
Yeah. They're pretty old and it smells bad there. But my point is that people who work there they do the most damage in my opinion. This is like, and if you probably we're gonna be 100% honest because we went through this, and this is kind of like a awareness. Important in terms of awareness, but the corruption has damaged this whole system severely.
Yeah.
We didn't experience corruption when we adopted, which is, again, miracle. We went through the whole process, start to finish, never meeting anyone who wanted to see if we... Maybe someone tried to...
There was a hint of
they're like kind of
like...
In
the very, very beginning of the process, but...
And they were like, we were so young, we didn't understand it, probably. And then I remember I understood it, like, when we sat in the car, I'm like, I think they wanted a bribe or something. And then we just didn't understand
I'd rather
that.
die than bribe in this aspect. But also, I just remember that I have many friends, moms who have special needs children, and most of them... at least once in their life experienced a situation when they were told like, oh, just give the kid up for adoption and get yourself a healthy kid. Like you can give birth once again. And I myself never in my life heard anything like that from any doctor or another human being. And also I never was asked for a bribe during the adoption process. And I suppose that's because of my Eastern face. Face,
Eastern European face.
Like, like they are probably...
They're like, no, they have the same faces because it was all in Eastern Europe.
But maybe mine is scary.
No, yeah, I know that. That's true. But my question is... it's just an off-topic question, but I wanted to ask because you said about it. Can we, if we like both decide and we're back in Ukraine, can we legally say we don't want that kid, take it out for adoption?
Return it?
No, not return it. Like for example, Vanya or Vasilina, our own kids, biological. Can we just
Can you give up your child up for adoption?
yeah.
Yes, you can.
And there shouldn't be any like reason for that. Do you just want to do that and you can do that? I always thought
this is such a mean question. I don't know how to answer.
I just
I don't know. I never looked into it.
Yeah, I always thought that there's no way, like, because there's a lot of very poor families and
you can give up your child for adoption. You can. You just
by willing it.
Yes. Well, if a family is like, I don't know, there are really struggling families with a whole lot of bunch of issues,
and my
they just
idea
give their kids to orphanages, and they just give them up, and they they refuse the parental rights.
Yeah, but I always thought in those situations they kind of like reach certain, I don't know, threshold of brokenness or abuse or something happened, and some social worker was like, yes, okay, this family can't give up their child because it would be better for a child. But if they're like a really rich successful family just decides, I regret being a parent, I don't want that kid anymore.
I hope they burn in hell.
No. The question is, technically, can they do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
can you ask ChatGPT?
In Ukraine, can you do that? Can you give up your child?
Just by
I think you can give up your child in any country if
no reason.
I don't like where it's going.
But ask ChatGPT not to remember your question, because he's gonna think about you like you used to ask what's up with you. No, like but again we just.
Why would you ask that?
It's just interesting. Like I don't know why I asked that. But yeah, again, 6 years ago, we went through the whole process. In our case, like, just to make it as fast as possible, when we decided that we are starting this path.
Like you can officially
refuse.
Give up your child for adoption.
With no reason.
Like you officially refuse your parental rights, you go to court, you send your child to orphanage.
Oh, and if you're a regular family with enough money, the court probably will say no.
No, they can't say no, because if those, I won't call them parents, probably, right?
Physical reproducers.
Yeah, decide to give up a child, and they have all the means and resources to be parents, and they want to give up a child. No court will allow them to keep their child, because if you're crazy and insane enough to be okay with giving up your child.
I don't think so. I think the court will be doing the best they can to leave the child in a physical.
If it's in the best interest of a child, they will do it.
Yeah. So okay.
There will.
Anyways, it doesn't matter.
But no, I don't want to talk about it even.
Yeah, back to our story. We started this path, and then we did all the medical examination, because we both as a parent have to go through the process of medical examination if everything is okay with our family. Then we apply.
They check for basic stuff like sexual transmitted diseases, AIDS, and stuff. Because if you have AIDS, you can still adopt a child, but probably they will be offering you a child that has the same condition, because that's going to be safe and that's going to make just more sense.
Then we went through the process with social institutions, social services, where they kind of had an interview with us, and who do we want? I remember this meeting with this young lady who said, like, who do you want?
This was so
You're
awkward.
like shopping around for kids.
This is like, I don't know.
And we were like, we want a child. How old? What's the range? Age range? We're like, we don't know. Not older than 6, probably.
What were you thinking at the time? In the moment you were saying the age?
I thought. My thought process?
Like, your thought process.
Yeah, I thought that it should not be mentally developed.
Like mature.
Mature, a child. So I thought, like, for the boy, it's like less than 20 years.
For me, when she asked, no. I mean, like, when she asked about the age, I'm like, okay, and my thoughts go racing, because I realized that if I say I want a child like no older than 6 years old. Like in
Or is
Ukraine,
there, what if there's a 6 years old?
no, what if there's a 6 and 1 month old kid that
Yeah.
really needs a parent and I will love? Like, how can you limit it?
Yeah.
And she said that there are people who like indicate the color of hair or
Yeah.
the color of eyes. Like, the
I
process
want a
is,
kid 12 Pro Max, right?
like it was one of the most awkwardest and icky situations in my life when I had to, like, how can you choose?
Shop around.
It's
Yeah.
I don't know, it gives me such
weird.
negative emotions of thinking like, what if there is a child that is out of the range that we indicate? And let me explain why this is important, because in Ukraine the system is built in a way that you go,
If you apply.
yeah, you come to, like, the basic process is this. You come to your social services and you say, I want to adopt a child. They say, okay, this is the list of documents you need to provide and the list of medical tests you need to provide to do. And you go do the test. It took us probably 3 or 4 days to get the test done. And then the documents were the proof of income, proof of, like, the proof that we have space to live. It can be rented or owned. And you have enough space to put a bed and a table for an extra person. So that's it. The requirements are really minimal. Like, we did have to go through medical examinations, including the papers from a psychiatrist, like different doctors, to make sure that we are sane and we're okay. I don't think we did anything else or more complicated. But when you come and you say, like, okay, here's my document package and my medicals, they make
And
you
they
write
approve everything?
They say okay, and you write like an application, and you say, like, we are willing to adopt this number of children within this age range. You can indicate whatever details.
Male or
you can
female?
male or female, age, color of hair, eyes. You can indicate as
It
little
was,
or
it was
as
sick or healthy.
you
like-
can indicate this.
Yeah,
Yes.
you purely want a healthy child only. Like,
Yeah, you can just turn around and leave then.
Yeah.
But because, like, you can indicate as many or as little details about a child as you wish, but legally, you will not be allowed even to meet a child that goes
even to know.
outside of the boundary of the requirements that you put in your application. So you can put as much as you want, but no one will even let you let you know if there's another child
Who,
that doesn't meet your criteria.
for at least some reason.
Yeah. So
So
at
yeah,
some
when
point-
when we came and we said we want one kid younger than 6 years, that was our idea, no matter like a male or female. But we ended up applying for up to 3 kids.
up to 6 years
Yeah,
old, I
6
think, yeah.
years old, male or female, because she said, like, okay, like, is there any way you will adopt 2 if there's a brother? You like the child, a girl, and she has a brother, or vice versa. Like, yeah. So we're like, well, yeah, we won't be considering it, but you can put an application. Let's make an application as wide as possible.
Yeah.
And then you will have like more options. And what we agreed. And the next day we left, like in few days, we left.
No, it took them a few weeks to process the documents, and then they process your documents and they give you like a package of papers that says you are approved by government to be adoptive parents.
Your adoptive parents' ID.
Yeah, like, and there's a number of your case and everything. That's the whole like package of documents, and you can come to any government institution, like
Any
orphanage, yeah, and say, like, we're adoptive parents, here's our document.
Can you please display all the items you have?
This is the this
Yeah.
it's so awful to talk about it like this. I get it that there's no other way you can do it, but I don't know if anybody feels comfortable with.
Yeah. So then when we got this approval, we went to a vacation.
No, we got approved when we were on the vacation, the first day of our vacation.
I don't remember. Yeah,
I remember very vividly.
but that was a situation when we left with our friends to Carpathian Mountains for a week to be in the wilderness. Let's just say, like, it's purely you're in the mountains. It's a mountain resort, but it's hard to say that it's a resort. It's like a village house or whatever. So we spent we thought to spend a week there.
Yeah.
But the first day or second day we were there, the social services called us and said, like, we found kids that we think would be
a good match
for you. And we're like, kids? Yeah. There's a little girl and she has a brother, and they're 2 and 5. What do you think? And we're like
2 and 4. He was 4 then.
And we were like, oh my god, the whole vacation is ruined because we're gonna talk about this only. And
it's not ruined, but because it's very
not ruined. I mean, like,
anxious period.
Yeah, we will be just purely anxious the whole week, and we did.
Let me tell you like a bit of a pre-story. When we submitted our application, they told us, like, this is the catalog. Like, they have a catalog. I printed out a photo and a brief history of a child, like medical conditions or what happened to a child, why the child is in the orphanage, where the child is. And the system is that when a child is removed from home, the child is offered up for and is ready to be adopted. It's offered up for adoption on the level of like city region, like a part of a city. Then if nobody takes the child goes up to the city, up to the level of the whole city. Then
wider
the level
wider.
of the
it's
region,
like taxi. When you're looking for a taxi, it first looks for a car near you, and then the wider it gets.
Yeah, and so when we got a call from the services, they said, like, there are 2 kids. We don't have their photos yet.
Yeah.
They just got their orphan status and they're available for adoption. We don't know anything about them. Do you want to meet them? We're like, you don't have photos, you don't have any history, you don't have any, like, anything about the kids, just age and their gender.
Yeah, but I remember that we got our status, and something like the next day they got their status.
Yeah,
so it was...
but when we applied, we were told, like, look, here are the kids that are available. None of them meet your criteria because most of them had severe disabilities. We realized that we won't be able to handle 2 kids with severe disabilities, unfortunately. Some of them had like 4 or 5 or 7 siblings, which was not doable for us. And we're like, okay, like, we know so many couples looking for kids for years.
Yeah, we'll be waiting.
Like,
and
we'll be waiting. We are not in a rush.
2 or 3 days, they called us. Like, it was a complete miracle. So we got back to Kiev.
I still think that they are our kids.
Yeah, they're meant to be.
They're meant to be because there's no way this could have worked out
so fast.
The way it worked out.
And so fast. 100%. That's why we were anxious the whole week, and then when we came back to Kiev the next day, we went to see these kids, and I do have a lot of pictures and videos on my phone from that day, and oh my god, I'm looking at those pictures and videos now. Those are completely different kids, so different. And to be honest, I don't understand how I think we were kind of like blinded or short-sighted, at least, because those kids are ugly.
Well, they're not ugly. They were just neglected.
They were
underfed. They were stressed.
The girl have a hair, almost didn't have hair. She had so little hair. And then the very first day we met them, they were all covered in some.
I think they were bitten by mosquitoes or something. They were scratching themselves.
And they scratched it. Their whole face were painted with this
medication.
And they're both
anti-itching one.
And both one didn't have enough teeth at all because she was young, and the other one had teeth.
She had teeth, but they were like very.
The guy, the older one, he had like all his teeth black.
Like, they were covered with like silver coating to prevent rotting.
I mean,
that's like the cheapest way to preserve the teeth, but his teeth were bad. But it doesn't.
I don't remember why we even agreed, because And that's I don't
Because
want to.
there are kids.
I don't want to sound rude. You know. No. I'll say that you didn't want them.
I not
First.
didn't want them. I was scared.
Yeah, you were scared.
You
yeah.
are scared.
But I
you
was
are
like,
always scared when you plan to adopt a child.
So this is interesting. You already think that we are weird, but anyways, we're gonna explain the whole situation. So we had like a 20 minutes time with them and a bunch of other kids because they didn't want us to be around just them, because that would mean that they would be acting like, oh, you're gonna be our parents or something like that.
Yeah, they wanted us to interact with the whole group so that the kids
Less
would
pressure.
act more naturally.
Yeah. And I remember we played with all of them, and then obviously you're like playing with everyone, but you're like looking the most
Specific kids,
to those two kids. And then we had a time when we, like, I think it was still in this orphanage, while the teachers were bringing them back to their rooms, and we sat there, and she's like,
I'm scared.
I'm scared. I don't know. I don't really like you. You told me you don't really like their appearance, because now I understand their appearance was awful. They were really neglected.
But the appearance is not like, I realized
It's
that
important.
the
It's still important.
It is important. I have a friend who has adopted children, and the only advice she gave me is that choose a child that you will enjoy looking at. At that time,
We didn't do that.
no. At that time, I thought that's mean and that's really cruel.
Yeah.
But then she explained, like, when you have a biological child, you have emotions, and you want to take care of a child because you look at the child and you see yourself, you see your spouse, and it's like on a chemical level in your brain. It works.
And you were approaching this process of giving birth.
But when you're adopting a child, there is no process where your brain is producing hormones or whatever, producing hormones, like chemically, you're not ready to take care of
not built in.
of a separate human being. So you need something that your brain will register as positive, except because there will be a lot of negative. It will be stressful, it will be draining, it will be exhausting at the first time, because you're out of the blue. Your brain thinks like, oh my God, this is another human being. I need to sacrifice all my time, all my sleep, all my energy to take care of this new human being. And when you're giving birth to a child, this happens on a chemical level automatically.
Yeah.
When you adopt it, you need to teach your brain that right now you're acting this way and you're taking care of this human.
If you're adult, if you're our children who grew up and are watching this episode, I'm sorry, but you were ugly. I mean,
No, we're not ugly.
love you,
God, you're
love you, but
embarrassing
I'm gonna show you pictures. You would agree, like.
You are embarrassing me.
No, I mean, my point is that you were stressed and scared, and I saw that you hesitant, like, very much, and I was like. I was
That would
mostly,
be suspicious if I wasn't hesitant.
Yeah. I was mostly driven by the idea that we saw somebody, and now we need to say, no, you ugly, we don't like you. Bring us the other ones, please.
That, honestly, this was like... I would probably say that there was another kid in the orphanage that did act...
Better.
No, different. And his behavior had red flags for me. And when I compared it, I realized that these kids, like, I would say it this way. I didn't see any red flags, so that's fine. That's good enough. Because if it's a small child, like, what can you expect from a small child? To act like a child. So they did. That's fine. But some other kids did have other red flags. I can't even pinpoint them. Yeah. But something was off.
Aggressive. A lot of kids were there that day aggressive. But anyways.
Really?
Like,
I don't remember
in any case, when you adopt, it's still, like, we call it, in Ukraine, there's a saying, it's called a cat in a bag. I don't know if you use that.
But when you give birth to a child, it's the same thing.
Not really, because according to my parents, and they're not going to be watching this because they don't understand English. This is the only time I can openly say everything I want in online. But other than that, they watch everything and then they comment me, calling me and commenting me. But anyways, in this case, I can say that according to my parents, you need to understand a Soviet Union mentality. Their whole life they spent in a very disturbingly bad mentally environment.
Soviet Union.
Yeah,
like,
which is
what can you
Soviet
expect
Union.
from it?
Like just the worst of everything. That's the Soviet Union. But according to them, when you giving birth, that's your DNA. That's your bad habits that you had will reproduce in your
It's
children.
a nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
I believe in nurture.
That day was pretty much stressful. We left there and I remember I decided like, let's not decide now. We don't have to decide now.
Yeah, we had like 3 days, I think.
Yeah, let's go and come down and then decide. And
And then you don't sleep for 3 days.
Yeah, it was a good decision because we had enough like pictures, enough memories. We discussed that a lot, and then we eventually decided how can we the decision process that we went through for these 3 days. We thought that it's going to be the same with all kids.
Yes.
And the outcomes that we will be left with will be the same with all kids. We will not know everything. There will be huge risks with a lot of things, and most of them are neglected. Most of them are
uneducated and
look not very attractive.
Were you looking for a model there?
Yeah. Well, and the weirdest part, we have my boss at my job. His family adopted 6 kids. We adopted 2.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 6 kids, and he showed me pictures of his kids when they were in orphanage.
It's different people.
Yeah,
different
it's completely different just because of neglect, underfed. They're like not underfed, like they would eat a lot. They weren't starving, but the food
they were not thin. They were really plump, but here's the thing.
malnurtured.
It's malnourished, but the quality of the food. Like for example, a kid at home eats like rice and chicken, right? There's rice and there's chicken. There's some veggies. There's milk. There's pasta. There's cereal and stuff. But they would get that rice with chicken, but without chicken, because the chicken would get stolen by the employees of the orphanage. Or
that's just harsh truth.
They told me that they're they had
kids.
Had those employees like nannies, or how do you call them?
The teachers.
The teachers or whatever. Who would look after them, teach them, play with them and stuff. And there were one very weird one that came up to me and said like, oh, these kids are so good. They're the best kids in the group. I'm like, thank you, but I don't need your opinion. I see myself. And another one was...
It's a good intention.
No, she chose
a bad way to do what she wanted the best for kids. What you're saying is that she tried to make sure
to sell the kids.
To sell the kids.
Yes.
She was hard selling kids.
Yes.
But the intention is good, but the way she...
There was another one. She did it better. She said like... Because the first time we came there, I came up to one of the teachers and said like, what can you tell me about these kids? Because honestly, like 20-30 minutes of playing in the group of kids is not representative. You need to know, I wanted some information from somebody who spends time with them.
In perspective,
Yeah, in the perspective, like how they build their relationship with other kids and stuff. And she gave me a very wise answer. She said, like, I can't give you any advice because you need to see for yourself. And this was very smart. And this was an elderly lady, and her daughter was the teacher in the same group. They were working together. And that younger lady came up to me one day after we signed that we agreed to take them, and we just visited them every day until the day we could take them home. And one time she came up to me and she said like, I'm really glad they're coming home now, because the older they get, the more damage is done to their like psychologically, and they are on the edge of being broken by the system. They're not quite broken, but they're on the edge. So I just want to tell you that I'm really glad that they're coming home. And that really warmed my heart, because it was the only person that I saw that had genuine care for the kids. And the kids once told me that she was the one who brought them fresh veggies, and no one ever did. That's crazy.
I never heard that.
No, they told me. And
yeah, but anyways, what you mentioned, that whenever we agreed to those particular kids, we couldn't take them the next day.
No, there is 2 ways to adopt kids. First, you get your status as an adoptive parent, and you need to, once you say like, yeah, I'm taking these kids, you go through a process that can take as little as 3 months and as long as a year, almost a year, like unlimited, because you need to write an application to the court. Then they need to
find a date
for the court, and sometimes it takes several months, sometimes it takes a month.
We were told it will be at least half a year.
Yeah, and mentally you understand these are your kids.
You already agreed, but you're gonna be able to take them with you not less than half a year. At
for
least
me,
half a year.
In my brain, it was like, what the hell? My kids live in an orphanage. I can't live with that.
Yeah.
Like, this is just mentally, like, you understand these are your kids, but they live in an orphanage. This is something that was breaking me every day. So we visited them every day. But there's another way. You get status of a foster family. You get to take your kids like in a week after you agree to take them. But you apply for adoption after they're
legally
home.
They're still not yours, but at least they live with you. And we didn't go for this process.
For 2 reasons.
Yeah.
Because one of them would be we were obligated to go through like a course for adoptive parents.
Correct.
And that was during the business time, and we were not able to make it together. And the second reason is that adoption in Ukraine is 100% confidential. So in the documents that we got from the orphanage, they wrote down that they left the orphanage with their old last name. So the orphanage does not have the records of their new last name, address, and who their parents are. Like, they do have it, but it's like
criminal
offense to disclose that information. And when you go through the foster process so that your kids could come home earlier, while you're fostering them, the information is available to all their biological relatives. And let's say this, we just didn't want those type of people to be aware where we are, who we are, and where the kids are.
Yeah. And but again, in our case, how long did this whole process took?
3 months from the day we met them.
Yeah, 3 months from the day we met them. In 3 months, they were at our home. Yeah, it was insanely fast. No one could believe it. Everyone from my surrounding thought that we bribed people to make it faster. We didn't do any of those things, and it's just pure miracle. And that's from start to finish with these kids, and this whole process. We definitely know that it's a God's provision and
100%.
God's way and God's will for our family, because there was a lot of like small and big miracles along the way. And that's like a long story short, right? But also I wanted to touch one really fast. One
moment.
Yeah.
About the fact that there are kids. These things are quite weird, but they have the same eye color that all of us have, the same hair color all of us have. Our son has the same personality that our daughter has, our oldest daughter.
Yeah, a lot of things in common.
He's a boy, so there's difference between a girl and a boy in terms of like behavior and temperament and stuff. But oh my God, they are so similar.
Like.
Sometimes I look at him and I realize that how does it work?
I
He
think
grew up
those
to
things-
be
yeah.
such a brilliant personality. Like, he is so much like our daughter in many things.
Yeah, I think I don't have a lot of questions like this because I think kids grow up into the family.
But he was like that even when he was little.
Yeah.
Like, he's a, like, I like to think that even though he blows up my mind regularly, he does stupid stuff that I don't understand. He's a boy.
We're talking yesterday. Even yesterday.
No, yesterday was fine. And the day before yesterday was fine. So that's 2 days. But genuinely, he is like, I like to compare him to a teddy bear.
Yeah,
Because
sweet boy.
he's very sweet. He's genuinely
very
kind.
responsible.
He has a kind heart. He has a open heart towards
With
whoever is
impulses.
feeling sad. Like, yeah, he's very impulsive. Like, it's
Anyways, what
and our youngest is a copy of your sister.
what I also wanted to touch is the topic that also what I've been asked a lot is that you had your biological kids, and by the time we adopted these two, our oldest daughter was 10. And that's a grown grown person. And the question is always, what did she think? Did she jealous? Was she for it or against it? How would you describe her involvement in this whole process and her experience?
Well, when she was 10, she was excited. And, like, we explained her that, like, one thing we left out, we forgot to say about it, to say about it. For me, being pregnant is very challenging and very complicated. And we had our daughter, then we lost a child, and then we had our son. And we realized after the third pregnancy that every next pregnancy is harder than the previous one. And
It's
I risk of having a
Like
stroke.
physically in me.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things going on during pregnancy for me, and like
We eventually were told by doctor not to get
just
pregnant.
don't risk again. And like back in Ukraine and even here in Canada, I talked to a doctor, and she also said that, you know, like, you can always take your chances, but chances are that it's going to be even worse than 3 previous times. So that was one of the reasons we also considered adoption, because we realized that we want more kids, but there's no way we can have our biological. But there's another way. Like, you want, like I said in the beginning, you want kids, like, you do what you have to do. As for Vasya, I would say that she... because she grew up in church, for her, this was something pretty normal. And in her school, she went to a private Christian school in Ukraine. And in her school, it was also something that was considered to be absolutely normal. Like, there were adopted kids, kids from
classmates.
adoptive families in her school. And, like, for her, it wasn't something out of this
Weird,
world.
yeah.
Yeah, but I know she struggled. Like, now when she's older, she told me that she struggled with, like, us being exhausted by the younger kids and not having enough resource for her. But I think that's the same thing that what happens when you have just
I was just gonna say
kids.
that it has
Yeah,
nothing to
but
do with adoption itself.
It's just
it's just you didn't have
experience of the
siblings.
oldest sibling, yeah.
You didn't have siblings. I had siblings, and siblings feel neglected because there's another one you hate.
But that's, like, we can't underestimate it. We can't, like, disregard it.
Yeah.
If that's her experience, that's her experience.
Yeah, it's valid.
But I think it would be pretty much the same with if we just had
I felt
more
the same thing
biological.
because I have an older sister.
You have an older sister. She
Yeah.
felt the same.
No, I felt the same, and she felt the same. So
Yeah.
she blames parents because they loved me more. I blame my parents because they loved her more. So
Yeah.
it's
I'm the only child, so I don't have anyone to blame.
it's just our family is unique because we love our kids the same way, all of them, and they know that.
All of them drive us crazy the
Same way, yeah. Except the special needs one. He's okay. We don't have any problems with him.
No, like.
So
yeah,
would you say that she was for it?
Yeah, she was for it because she was like, Yay, siblings. And she was very excited. She was
Supportive, I would
yeah,
say.
she was very supportive.
From
But the
what
difference in the age is quite big, so
Yeah.
they don't have much in common. Right now, when our youngest is growing up, our oldest can sometimes find, like, they sometimes find things in common, like, I don't know, hairstyles or makeup or something like that.
Yeah, and she plays Minecraft with her with brother. So
Yeah.
I just remember that. I don't remember in details. I don't remember her within this period of adaptation at all, because it was all I remember was you crying.
I know,
Yeah.
it was very stressful.
Yeah, the first year or even two, I just remember you being stressed all the time. And I tried my best to support you, but
You were stressed too.
Yeah, the thing is that I don't remember what. Maybe that's the reason she felt that
Maybe.
she's kind of like have less time with us. But
She's an extremely strong person, you know.
but what I do remember is that she was being very supportive. She was for this idea for sure, and I even have a couple of videos and with where we were talking about this, and she was like, yeah, let's do this. I'll help them. It was a lot of positive from her, and that's probably in my case what helped us to be confident in this decision, because I don't understand how we could have done this with knowing that
She doesn't
whenever
want
we
it?
bring kids she's gonna be mad.
No, like, but everyone I know who has biological kids and adoptive kids, I don't think any of those biological kids were against it. But it
Well,
also
I have
depends
a
on how.
friend who's the biological kid, and they had his family adopted, and he said like he hated her up
Really?
to like when he turned like very like 20 years old or something, because of the same reason he felt like his parents
Like jealousy?
yeah give her more attention than him or whatever. Like it's not necessarily goes smooth for sure, I don't know.
Yeah.
But in our case we went to the very first day, like the day we were picking the kids up to bring home, she was with us, and she was carrying them to, holding their hands, and she was sitting in back seat. Like I filmed the whole process, so you need to understand that I was carrying a phone filming this thing from from the orphanage all the way to like first 15 minutes in our home, and we have that video.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's I watch it sometimes, and it's insane how different these kids are right now.
Because they're our kids.
Yeah,
They're
you were
smart and nice.
you were always saying during these 6 years, you were always saying that they're damaged, they have issues, we need to fix this, and we need to help with this mentally. I mean mentally, and they have like trauma and so on. I always was very skeptical about it. I was like, they're fine. Let's just do what we do, and we know how to raise kids. And it was like both of us were extremes, and the truth was somewhere in between. And that's it's a blessing. I was like, it's fine, and she's like, we're doomed. and, and the truth came up to the in the middle.
But
which
because we were two extremes, I was always focused on fixing something, and you were like, oh, they're just kids.
Yeah.
So that's where the balance came
Yeah.
from. And
But now when I watch those videos, I'm like, they probably you were
You
right.
was
Yeah,
right.
you were right
But
for
honestly,
sure. I don't know what I was thinking.
just don't get us wrong. It's not like, I know you won't get it wrong, but I just want to say this. If our kids will see this video, the fact that there is trauma and that there is pain and there is bad background and baggage they're carrying with them, like a negative experience that influences the relationship with us. It influences the relationship with their siblings. With everyone and in every area of life. The fact that it's there, it's not the kid's fault.
Yeah.
Like,
or
I
the right
really-
to say it was there.
It was there. It's not the kid's fault. I 100% blame the biological parents,
The
biological
system.
family, the system, and the employees of the orphanage.
Yeah.
Like, when we say that something is wrong, there's trauma, there's this and this issue and this issue, I never put the blame on a child.
No,
Because
I
the
never
child
say-
is a victim in this.
Yeah,
It's not the child's fault to have trauma, right?
Yeah, they didn't have any trauma or something. They were just ugly, and that's it. And now they're not ugly. And love you, kids. I just find it funny. All right, I don't know. We explained everything that we wanted.
It's just the beginning of the story. We
Yeah.
need to do several episodes
Yeah,
of
with
this.
several. There's so much we can talk about. We can do the same episode as this one, but about our special needs child, how it was born, because we get a lot of questions about this as well. Because people tend to think that if you have a special needs child, your life is over. I just read the little, how you call it, thread on Threads. It's a Twitter app from Instagram. There was a little thread that kind of went viral. It's more than few million impressions already, where a girl said that she gave birth 5 years ago to a child with Down syndrome, and that's just made their whole family stronger. It was just short story, like few sentences and a picture of them, three of them, mother, father, and a girl with Down syndrome, and people were like, "Oh my God, you're a hero. How is that possible?" Like, there are a lot of questions. Why didn't you abort him? Like, it was rude stuff, but overall, people think that those are
Heroes.
not less than holy people, like angels from. And I'm like, yes, that's stressful, but let's just normalize people do not
giving up their
giving
special
up
needs children.
on their kids, on their marriage because of circumstances.
Yeah.
All right, that was fun. That was fun.
That was
I enjoyed it.
flashbacks.
Yeah, a lot of flashbacks. Leave your comments, ask your questions. We might answer those in the beginning of the next episode. And trust me, in 6 months you'll be waiting for not in 6 months. I really want to.
I want to add something.
Get back to podcast.
I feel like maybe if any of you
Consider
had a feeling that there's like a negative background to what we are saying, or on the other side, like an extremely positive experience, don't get fooled.
That's not
because
not any of those.
It's none of those, because this path of adoptive parenting is so different, and it can be different from day to day. It can be different within one day, from morning to lunch to dinner, just like with any parenting. And I feel like if you're considering adopting a child, I know that in US and Canada the process of adoption is so different and costs a lot of money. Like, for us, by the way, we didn't say it, like in Ukraine adoption is not for money. Like, it's free. You don't pay.
You pay for court, you pay for like medical exam.
How much? Like $10 or $15?
Yeah,
like, those are government fees.
Yeah.
But it's not something that you spend money on. But if you're considering adoption,
and there now in Ukraine there are a lot of initiatives helping foreigners to adopt Ukrainian children, because obviously you understand that it's very common.
I would say that if you're thinking to adopt or not to adopt, if you have biological kids, imagine the worst day you can imagine with your biological kid. Would you be able to handle it and not go crazy if that happens every other day, for example, right? Or imagine the best possible day with your biological kid, and would you still agree to adopt if this was your reality every other day? So, like, there are two extremes to it. There is no balance to it. You never know how it will go. And there is no way you can do anything to make it go a certain direction.
I would wrap up with a speech to. You're so smart. I love you. But first of all, there's a movie. What's it called? Family.
Let me.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like a fast family or something.
yeah, with
Instant family.
Instant Family. Yes, Instant Family movie. Go watch it. Very true. We watched this million times, and every time you're like crying, laughing, crying, laughing.
Yeah,
And
that's how it is.
that's such a. I would say I recommend this movie just because the producers of this movie felt they feels like they went through the adoption process themselves, because it's a drama and comedy, and it's very good description of how this process feels. Like there's a scene where they got like the mom and dad who adopted a kid or kids getting ready to go to bed, and they're like, should we give the kids back to system, and we'll have all these free time and all this and then they're like fantasize about giving kids back to the system, and they're like, we're not gonna do this. Of course
No,
we don't. We won't. Of course we won't. But they're like, it's true. Like we're all humans.
But we never considered it, even discussed it.
Yeah. But first of all, go watch this movie. It's amazing. And the second, I would say that it's absolutely worth it.
Yes.
If you consider this is life changing for you. Obviously, it's life changing, dramatic change for kids. And to seeing them happy and succeed now, in 6 years, it feels way different than seeing your biological kid success. I would say it probably, because I don't have other like biological kids, it's just one that I can compare to, and the other one is special needs. So I think that it's the same for every parent. Seeing your kid succeed feels different for every kid, but in this case, I'm proud of all my kids differently. That's what I'm trying to say. And sometimes I was...
Because they have different struggles and they have different obstacles to overcome.
Yeah. And sometimes I think, like once in a few months, I would think like, where would these kids be if that's not our decision and our surrender to, God's will in that situation? That'd be terrible because the COVID, because the war, it'd be terrible. And now they're happy and they're pissing us off here in Canada, and they're happy about it. They're happy about it. We are mad. They're having a great time. Like,
no, like you need to understand that, like when it's hard with a child, it's hard, right? Like, regardless of whether it's an adopted child or a biological child, when you're going through challenges. But when this child does something that you realize that is a win, like the whole world goes glowing around you, and you're like, praise the Lord.
I will say
and you hold on to this for years.
I will say that there is a thing that's called adoption process, like adaptation process, not adoption, adaptation to adoption.
Yeah.
So in our case, I feel like the worst part was first year, and for me personally,
not the worst, the hardest.
Absolutely the worst part was the first year, and the hardest too. But for me, I would say that nobody told me, and I will say this to you, especially if you consider it some now or for in the foreseeable future. If you consider adoption, it's okay if you don't love this child.
Really?
That's something nobody told us. And again, for some reason, I felt like it is absolutely necessary to feel that way from the very first day that they're home.
You're talking about the right away.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Because
of course
you
I love
said
them.
it the way like,
Yeah,
it's okay.
it's okay to
Like all
not
your life.
love all your kids all your life. Like that's true too. No, I
Embarrassing
mean,
me.
yeah, I mean, the first day, the second day, the first weeks that they started to feel comfortable, and they started to show their attitude and
Acting out.
act. Yeah, the worst. They were the worst. And I felt like oh my god, I hate them.
But also, like, that's the one
But I have to
thought.
feel love, but I don't, and I blame myself so bad, and that was the biggest struggle. But then at some point, either somebody told me or I don't know, but I decided that it's okay that I don't feel the
Love
same
yet.
love, deep love that I feel to my biological kids, and that's where the real love started to build up. And
Yeah.
now I feel like I love all of my kids differently, but maximum amount I can.
Like,
And
you grow into it, but that's what I was saying in the beginning.
sorry,
that-
and I asked my parents. I asked my dad just recently. We were in hot tub, and I was like, have you felt the same, absolutely the same love to me and my sister? He said, yeah, I loved you both as much as I could understand, but it was different. Because you're the guy, she's the girl, and you deserve punishment, she deserves love, and that's how my childhood went.
I'm sorry.
You have a lot of work. Okay, we're wrapping up.
Again.
Yeah, we could talk about this for a long time. Please leave
Forever.
your comments, support our podcast, and subscribe to this channel. We appreciate your attention. Bye.